Welcome to DIY guitar making at Eric Schaefer Guitars. I just want to share with you some simple hacks for making the space where you build your guitars more comfortable and efficient. At least for me, over the years of building guitars and adjusting my environment to better suit my process, these three particular changes have pretty dramatically improved my own process. Now, everybody's situation is going to be a little bit different. You may have limited space or a limited budget, or this guitar making thing might be a part-time gig for you, or it might just be a hobby, or it might be full-time like it is for me. But my hope is that at least one of these three things will make sense for you and that you'll give it a try and let me know how it works for you. So this first hack is really great if you already have a freestanding shop stand like this. And if you don't already have a shop stand, well, that's actually a great hack right there. Just getting a shop stand with a vise mounted to it will greatly improve the flow of things in your workshop, especially when it comes to carving guitar necks. But the shop stand for me is actually about so much more because of this one little hack that I've done here, which is I've taken all my radius dishes and I've installed propeller T-nuts into the underside of them simply by adding another sheet to the bottom and drilling to install those T-nuts and then gluing these two pieces together. And what that does for me is it turns the shop stand into an all-around workstation. So let me spin the camera around here to show you a little bit of what I mean. Because I have two shop stands here in my shop. And the reason why I have two shop stands, of course, is because I teach the hands-on workshops and I have two students coming in here at a time to work on their guitars, so it makes sense just to have two different workstations. But anyway, I thought it'd be easier just to flip this around and show you it set up here rather than having to take the vise off of that one and put this back on. But it is very quick and easy to do, to switch the vise for the radius dish like that. So this shop stand now serves, I don't even want to say double duty because really it serves like triple, quadruple duty, because I'm going to show you how now, how being able to attach the radius dish, you can do so many things with it. So first of all, what you see here, this is what I was working on yesterday, brace carving. So it becomes a really nice freestanding brace carving station. So if you're anything like me, I used to carve my tops just on the flat workbench, and it worked out fine, but I know there was a couple instances where I actually cracked the top because the top, of course, has a radius on it, and you're working on it on a flat surface. If you lean a little too hard on it, it just is capable of cracking. You don't want accidents like that to happen. Here, I put a nice piece of carpet down on my radius dish. Now I have that nice scoop that fits the top perfectly, so it's a very comfortable brace carving station. Not to mention, I can sit at it really anywhere all the way around this circle and get at it from all directions. I always like to put a clamp on one side just so I have something to push against when I'm using the chisel. So you can see how nicely this conforms. I'm not worried about snapping or cracking at the ends. I can actually rest my whole arm on it like this and not really worry about it. But actually, this wasn't the main reason why I did this in the first place. Actually, the main reason why I put those propeller T-nuts on the underside was so that I can use it as a radius dish for radiusing the rims. So with it in the shop stand, I now have a freestanding radius sanding station. You know the radius sanding step where you're turning the guitar body like you're turning the wheel, right? What's that John Hall always says? Driving the school bus? But what's really nice about this freestanding setup like this, especially for me because I have students and people of various heights coming in here, and sometimes if I just set this up, if I just clamp this to the workbench is at a predetermined height, and for some people, when you're radius sanding for, you know, a good bit, it's a little hard if you have to lean over or if you have to hold your arms up like this. It can be really hard on the shoulders, right, if you're short. So this you can adjust the height to suit whatever preference you want. And then lastly, this really becomes a great station for gluing the plates to the rims. So it really is like an all-around workstation for guitar building. I actually spend a significant amount of time at the shop stand, way more than I did at the shop stand when I just had it for holding the vise. And so the next cool little thing I want to show you guys is to put your Go Bar deck on freaking wheels. I mean, this was revolutionary for me. It was really awesome because I can't tell you how much time I spent with this Go Bar deck with things all glued up in the Go Bar deck, with it just in the way, taking up space on the workbench while things were being glued. And I would try and move it around. I would end up picking it up off the workbench, putting it on the floor, which anyone who has a Go Bar deck knows how heavy and off-center that weight is, so it's really hard on the back to always be picking that up, putting it on the workbench, moving it around. If you just put some nice, solid, more industrial style casters on there, then you don't have to worry about that anymore. You can literally just put your Go Bars on there, glue everything up, and then just push it into a corner, into the other room, whatever you need to do. And a nice little additional hack for this is, as you can see, I built the structure for the stand that holds the Go Bar deck, kind of like I would build it for a workbench, but I left this side open like this, just so I could use it for storage, so I can keep the shim boards that you use to shim up the radius dish, and I can also keep radius dishes down here as well. It's just a nice little storage space. And finally, the third hack here that has served me well in my shop environment is a Lightbox that is built into one of my workbenches. And I actually did one of the earliest articles that I wrote, I'll include it in the comments, shows you how to build a Lightbox into your workbench like this. It's pretty easy to do, but it's been enormously useful. Here, I'll turn this on. So you guys who are already taking the online course, Building a Gnome Acoustic, have already seen this. I use this a lot in the videos, especially for jointing plates together. That's its primary use in the shop, but definitely I also use it just for general design work and for doing inlays. It's does double duty as a tracing box, so I can lay tracing paper down on it with a certain design and then lay a second piece of tracing paper over top of it and use that to either trace out and duplicate that design, or trace out the design and then make alterations to it so that I can make subsequent iterations of a single design in order to improve it, to smooth out certain details or add certain details that weren't on the initial design. And then also just really anything where you're trying to look for light seepage between joints, this becomes very useful. Of course, you can build a light box or even buy a light box that would be freestanding. You can store it under the bench. It's just really nice to have it right here in the workbench, ready to go when I need it. If you learned something here, please give this video a like and subscribe so you can be notified when I release a new DIY guitar making video every Friday. And if you want to really learn more, take one of my structured online courses at ericschaeferguitars.com or register for a hands-on guitar building workshop here with me in Burnville, Pennsylvania.